Meeting is being recorded. Cool. And then we'll also record on the computer locally. That way we can have it in a multitude of ways. Uh, all right, we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Kleppe. I am the Interim Accessible Technology Services Team Lead. Get out of here. Stop that. Okay. For the campus, my job is basically to ensure that all ICT related things are accessible to individuals with disabilities on the campus. So anything that is on a website, anything that is bought that has like ones or zeros going through it, or any kind of instructional materials that are used in a classroom or used on a website, it's my job to try and ensure like those things are accessible to individuals who may be hard of hearing or low vision or legally blind or colorblind or any number of different disabilities that might exist for someone. If you are interested in learning a little bit more about this stuff, or if I didn't cover something specifically, you can reach out to me at kevin.kleppe@csusb.edu. Phone number is 909 537 4345. I also have an obnoxious large QR code here that you can scan, and it'll take you to a copy of the PowerPoint slide that we're going to be going over today. And yeah, this is going to be just like a very basic entry level kind of presentation on what accessibility is for instructional materials and how do you make like an actual accessible instructional material document, Word, PowerPoint, Adobe, captioning, the works. Really quick before we do that though, this is part of something called the Accessible Technology Services team. So our team and our efforts are kind of broken up into four-ish areas. So there's assistive technology, that's me, I'm the IT guy, but I do IT for individuals who may not be able to see the screen. So I'm helping people out with not just resetting their Wi-Fi or resetting their computer, I'm doing it for someone who maybe they can't see exactly what's going on screen. I'm helping them set their computer up to make their computer work more effectively for them. Instructional materials, Mr. John Whitley actually is kind of in charge of that. He is the instructional, what's your official title, John?
Okay. Digital content accessibility specialist.
All right, that's helpful. His job is basically to ensure that any documents that are used either in a classroom or on a website somewhere are accessible. So if a student is trying to fill out a form independently for a scholarship, it's his role and his job to try to make sure like that is accessible, as well as working with SSD to make sure all the books that are used in the class are accessible as well. Procurement, anything that's bought that is IT related for the campus, it's our job to try and ensure like that thing is accessible. Review the VPATs, review the documentation. Is there an accessibility barrier for this thing? Is there going to be an issue for someone who's blind or low vision or hard of hearing using this product? And if so, how do we accommodate that person, make it so like they can use it equally? Web is a very big field. Web development is a very big field. Web development for accessibility is an even bigger field. Also are responsible for making sure all the different web pages that we use on the campus are accessible as well. If you're interested in that, reach out to us and we can tell you a little bit more about some of the products that we use and some of the web tools that we use to ensure our web pages are accessible as well. So four-ish fields related to making sure IT stuff is accessible. Assistive technology, that's me. Instructional materials, that's Mr. Whitley. Procurement, that is our team member, Tiffany Talley, who's recovering from a cold. So hope you're getting better, Tiffany, if you see this. And then web, that is Mr. John Bauman. So altogether, it is our job to try and make sure like all things IT related on the campus are accessible to individuals with disabilities. With that being said, so what's IM or instructional material remediation? It is ensuring that individuals who have disabilities can get equal access to the information that's either used in a document or use that document to apply for stuff. So are your documents accessible to individuals with disabilities? If you're teaching a class or if you're handing out a flyer or sending out a PDF to the campus, is someone who's blind and using a screen reader going to be able to get equal access to that document or to that email in the same way as everybody else? Or did you just kind of upload a PNG onto an email and all the information is on the PNG, but someone who's blind isn't going to be able to get that same information in the same way? That's where instructional material remediation comes into play, making sure that anybody that gets that email or gets that document can use it in the same way as anybody else. It can be a very kind of nuanced field. There's a lot of gray area in this place. We're going to be covering some of the basics today. You're not going to be experts if you're here today or if you're in a Zoom meeting or if you're watching this in the future. If you do have any questions on anything in the future that we don't cover here today, so for example, forms are a completely different beast. They're very important because it sucks to be on that support call with a student who's blind and they're trying to fill out a form independently for like a scholarship and they can't do it on their own. They have to have their friend help them out. So document remediation and accessibility is important. And we're going to be covering the absolute basics today. So PDFs, Word, PowerPoints, and then captioning for videos. Like, how do you cover this kind of stuff? Basic stuff, I'm going to assume that people who are watching this know maybe just a little bit about it. I'm not going to get too in-depth with some of the stuff that's on this slide right here. These are just some of the basic things that you should be aware of if you're thinking about accessibility for a document. Alt text. If you have an image in a document or on a web page, you should be putting something called alt text in that image if it's important to the user who's going through that document. So let's say I have a flyer that's going out to the campus, and that flyer has a picture of a time and a place and event and like the description of what the event is going to be happening. What you should be doing is on the email, you can right click it, say alt text, and anyone who's using a screen reader is a piece of software that works on your computer that allows you to have what's on the screen read to you just by pressing a couple of buttons, which is kind of cool. But it only works as well as the document or web page that is actually being used or designed. So if I have an image in an email and there's no alt text in the image, I have no idea what's actually in the image or what the email is actually about. I can fix that by adding alt text to the image by just right clicking. Actually, might just be easier if I just show. Let's see here. So alt text, let me do this. So right here, I have an example document called Camera Basics. Very simple document. This is something that we use to train our students on how to do document remediation. If I were to scroll down, there's a series of pictures that show what are the different components are for photography. So shutter speed, ISO, aperture, blah, 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 all that good stuff. Very like camera 101, photography 101 level stuff. If I'm blind though, and I'm still reviewing this document and I'm trying to get the same information as everybody else, this picture that's showing what shutter speed is and what shutter speed will do to a picture, my screen reader isn't going to be able to pick this up and let me know what it's all about unless there's actually some alt text in it. It's very easy to add though. So for this image, I can right click. I can go to view alt text. As you can see, when it comes to the view alt text area, there's nothing actually in that box. This is where you put in your description for the alt text of the image to describe what the image actually is. So if I were to just copy and paste what I had from before, the effects of different levels of shutter speed, I have to close that. If I'm using a screen reader and now I go through this document and I get to that image, the screen reader is going to read all the alt text that I just embedded into the image. One, not only does this make it accessible, two, it actually also helps with search engine optimization. So it's easier for people to actually find your stuff. Your stuff is going to get found more easily and you're going to get hits, more hits on your social media, on your web pages. It's going to be easier for people to actually like find what your stuff is if you're properly tagging and remediating your documents with alt text. Because now if I'm going online, I'm typing in like shutter speed or what is shutter speed, but alt text is also going to be picked up by the spider that's used by Google to actually look for stuff online. So alt text is basically just a basic description of what the image is. You don't need to get really in-depth or poetic. You just need to describe like the most basic thing about it. That's the most important aspect of the picture. So for this, the different effects of shutter speed for photography. For this, it would be what happens when you change the ISO on your camera. You know, how does that impact the light and the lighting of the camera? So alt text, if you have images on your document on your website, alt text is basically just describing that image to the person who might be using a screen reader. Okay, alt text, headings. Headings can be kind of thought of as like I like to think of headings as almost being like at the beginning of like a book where it has like the table of contents. And it tells you like, if you want to jump to this section, go to page 82. If you want to go to this section, jump to page 120 or whatever. Headings are the same thing, but they allow a user to kind of jump to all the major sections of a document or a web page based off of what they are looking for. So let's say I'm going through this document, the same document that we had before, and all this other stuff that's in here, I don't really care for it that much. Let's say the number one thing that I actually want to know about is aperture. So let's say instead of just being like a 6-page document, let's say this is like a 300-page document. How do you make it so that someone who is blind and using a screen reader can actually jump to the proper section that they want to get to faster and more easily than just going through the entire document line by line by line and sentence by sentence? Well, you can do that by changing the headings of each of the different sections. So a really good example is actually on the CSUSB website. Let me actually do this. Let me switch. switch. And then, so on the CS2SP website, forgot to load the CSS. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. On the CS2SP website, let's say I'm blind, and let's say I'm looking for some of the different majors that are on the campus website that are available to me to like enroll in. And I don't want to go through literally just the entire web page, just line by line, sentence by sentence to actually like find that information. What I can do is I can actually cycle through all the different headings that are on the web page, and you can know what those headings are because they're actually marked as so. I have a little extension right here called Headings Map. It's an extension. It's free. It's something that you can download to your browser right now. And shows you all the different headings that are available to you on a web page. And this makes it so that if I'm blind, I'm using a screen reader. Let me zoom this in a little bit. What I can do is rather than just like going through the entire web page line by line, having to open up like a little hamburger option right here, going through all the different links that are on there, I can just jump through all these different headings that are right here. So rather than having to go through the entire web page, I can just go through these headings and I can find this part right here. It's all I did in the part. And that's going to take like maybe 7 presses of the button rather than like 300 if I were to just go through it line by line. So headings can kind of be thought of as a way to jump through all the major sections of a web page or document just by pressing one button. And it works well, but only as well as like the actual document or web page is set up. So if I were to be adventurous and want to try and do a live demo of what that would look like, we do this. I'm going to launch a program right now on my computer called JAWS, and we'll see if JAWS wants to cooperate today. And actually, let me stop my share and then let me reshare it with sound so you guys can actually hear JAWS. And then let me launch JAWS.
JAWS.
All right, cool. Very first shortcut you should know for JAWS is Control, because that will get JAWS to shut up. Otherwise, it'll just keep on talking for as long as it can. JAWS is a piece of technology.
JAWS dialog. Your current authorization is for an earlier version of JAWS dialog. California.
Right, fine, I'll switch to NVDA. Oops.
OK button.
Okay. JAWS and NVDA are screen reader programs that basically allow individuals who are blind to go through a document or a web page independently and have what's on the web page read aloud to them just by pressing a series of keys. So before, if I were using a screen reader and I'm looking to see like to have the image described to me, I can use the alt text that's embedded in the image that I was talking about earlier, read aloud to me with the screen reader. With headings, what I can do, let's see if I can do this.
Clickable main, fall 2020, connect with us heading.
Right now, what I'm doing is I'm just pressing the H key, and that's going to cycle me through all the different headings that are actually on this web page. So if I were to press
application,
then let me refresh the
headings map,
and we can go all the
California alert concerted.
So I'm at the very top of the web page right now. And what I should hear is California State University, San Bernardino, and then followed by fall 2024 applications open, connect with us, explore our campus. We'll see if that actually what happens.
Clickable main landmark, connect with us heading level 2.
Oh, it's down, starting down there.
Explore our campus heading, what's going on, upcoming events, important dates, Coyote stories, what we're up to, latest Instagram, colleges and departments.
And rather than before, if I were to just press the down arrow key to cycle through literally every single line and sentence that's actually on this web page, I can just press the H key and it jumps through all the different major sections for me. And now I can find what I need a lot more easily, a lot more quickly. This is great, but it only works well if the actual document or web page is set up. So for the document that we were just on, let me show you very quickly.
Taskbar.
Desk, kill
exit,
NVDA.
desk, okay. Oh.
Thank you. Now let me switch back. So for example, this document right here doesn't actually have any headings associated with it. It's very easy to set up though. What you can do is, oh, it does have headings. Oh, cool. So yeah, so the very top one is marked as a heading level 1. So if I'm blind and using a screen reader, I can know that the heading level 1, you should only have one heading level 1 per page or web page or document. I hit H1 and I know, okay, camera basics, that's the title of this document. That's what like the main component is for this actual piece of documentation. Then I cycle through all the different heading levels after that with heading level 2 or heading level 3. So for this, it should be marked as a heading level 2, which it is. Excellent. And then main principles, main camera principles, heading level 2, and then heading level 3 right after that. So you can kind of think of headings as being not just like a table of contents in the beginning of a book, but you also want to like nest them within one another. So every time there's like a subject that's kind of like a sub-subject for another section, you want to make it like a lower number than that. So one heading level 1, heading level 2, and then heading level 3 is under that, and then you can bounce back to heading level 2. It's a little nuanced and complicated, but actually when you start to do it like in person on your own, it starts to make a little bit more sense. And we can work with you guys in trying to help figure out what the proper heading structure of a document or web page might be. So headings are an excellent tool for accessibility because they allow individuals who are using a screen reader to kind of like bounce between all the different major sections on their own and independently without having to like just scroll through the entire document or web page one line at a time. Color contrast. Color contrast is probably the easiest thing that we can talk about here today. Just basically make sure like the colors actually match and are different enough that you can actually see the information. So if you ever want to know how to do it, it's very, very easy. Color contrast analyzer. Just type that into Google. And then the one that I like to use is this one, the webbing one, because it just runs through the browser and you don't need to do anything fancy or download anything. What I'm going to do, split these out to the side. And on the color contrast analyzer webpage, what I'm going to do first is there are two options that you can use to check the color contrast. There's a foreground color and then there's the background color. Very, very easy. All you're going to do is click on the color for the foreground color, come down to the dropper. Oops, oh, the zoom thing is in the way. Come down to the dropper. And then for the foreground color, let's check the color contrast of basic stuff. Let me do that. And let me get the white. And as you can see, this is an example of bad color contrast because it's comparing white on white, which basically makes text actually invisible. So that's like as bad as color contrast as you can get. But if I were to take the background color and select the dropper and select the background and then come back, you can see all of a sudden, all of my different checks for the different WCAG levels pass for this color contrast. WCAG is Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. It's basically like a long series of things that you need to do to make sure like your document or your web page is actually accessible. It's really extensive. For this particular section for color contrast, you only need to make sure that you're passing the AA standard. Actually, for all the WCAG stuff, you only need to make sure you're passing the AA standard. AAA is for tryhards. You don't need to worry about those. AA, you're good to go. And as you can see for this, this color contrast is perfect. I've actually passed everything on here. So yeah, that's basically it for color contrast. Just basically make sure there's enough of a difference so that if someone who is colorblind or struggles with seeing different kinds of color, they can see the document and see the text independently without having to struggle. And like, this is a very easy free tool. You don't even have to install it or have local admin or anything like that. Just runs through the browser and you're good to go. It's just 2 buttons and your test is done. Let's see here. Captioning, we'll cover captioning in a second. Captioning is actually a service that we provide, so you don't even need to worry about that. I'll show you how you can get captions ordered for stuff. Let's see here. And then descriptive links. If I'm blind and I'm using a screen reader, so like NVDA or JAWS, and I'm going through a web page or a document, and I get to a link, and the link says here, or click here, or more info, I'm not going to know what that link actually goes to, because when I use a screen reader, let me go back to the CSUSB web page, and then let me launch NVDA again, and we'll see if this works. First try.
OK button press.
And then let's see, I think it's insert F7.
Elements list dialog.
Is it function insert F7? Function insert. Oh, wait.
Chad,
let's see here. I'll just do this. Insert Q.
Exit NV.
So for example, if I'm on a website and I'm looking for links on the website, whatever the links are actually like labeled as, that's what my screen reader is going to read to me. So if this part right here, my coyote is marked as my coyote, my screen reader is going to say my coyote. But if I'm on a web page and it says here as like the actual like hyperlink text that takes me to like a new web page, here doesn't really tell me a whole lot. Here basically is just like here what? Download another document into another web page, fill out a form, unenrolled in the class. What does here actually do for me? When you're doing links for a web page or for a document, you want to make sure like the links actually describe what the link does or goes to. So rather than like here, let's say if it was like a link to like our particular page for ATS, it would say something like accessible technology services web page, and you actually give them a description of what that link actually goes to. So rather than like just here or click here, or God forbid, some people they just literally put the entire link on a web page or on a document, which is tacky and looks ugly. But it's also just a nightmare for screen readers because it'll literally read HTTPS :// blah 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 and read the entire thing out. Which is one, really annoying to hear. Two, it's just as unhelpful as here. So here is a lot more truncated, but it's just as unhelpful as like putting like the actual link. So descriptive links. If you're putting a link on a web page and you're actually embedding it into a sentence, make sure that you actually describe what the link is actually going to be going to. Tables, if you're working with a table on a web page or on a document, reach out to us and we can work with you on it. We don't have enough time to talk about tables today. Tables can be real rough and real tricky and real complicated. If you're working on a table that's going to be used in a document or on a web page, shoot us a message. We'll give you some examples of like what an accessible table looks like and what you can do to actually make that table accessible to someone who is low vision, colorblind, using a screen reader, all that good stuff. And then let's see here. So that's enough about the basic stuff. Let's actually get into some demos, some actual like what do you do now that you know the basics? If you're watching this, or if you're here, or if you're watching this in the future, if there's anything that you take away from this, the number one thing should be start with a Word document, make that Word document accessible, and then you can export that as a PDF for future use. The cool thing about PDFs is that they basically maintain their format on any web page or on any operating system or on any device that you might open them up on. So if I make a PDF and I open that up on my phone, it's going to look the exact same way if I were to open it up on a Mac or on a Windows computer, on a Linux computer, or on an iPad, anything that I open it up on. And it's good for for graphics, but for accessibility purposes, it can lead to a lot of confusing experiences for users who like are trying to like parse that information that's in the PDF. What I would recommend first is make a Word document, make that accessible, and then export that with tags into a PDF, because it's going to save you and my team a whole lot of work and a whole lot of effort. So really quick, let me go back to the document that we were using before. And then let me actually change a couple of things. And I'm actually going to go into here, view alt text, and then I'm actually going to delete this for an example. Let me close that. So if you want to make an accessible Word document, open it up in Word, and this will work on Word Online or Word download to your computer. Go up to Review, click Check Accessibility, and on the right side of the screen is going to give you a list of different accessibility issues that were actually found in the document. So as you can see right here, missing object description. For this particular picture, there's no alt text because we just deleted it. So let me go ahead and put that back. And then view alt text. And we're going to paste that back in there. And then save. All right, cool. And if we were to run it again, no accessibility issues have been found. So this Microsoft Word doc is now fully accessible and it's good to go. But let's say you want to actually use this as a PDF because you don't want someone to actually change something, or if you want to make sure that the format stays in the exact same way across all operating systems and all platforms. What do? Well, there's two things you can do. You can just export it as a PDF, or you can export it as a PDF with 8 PDF tags. I'm going to show you why you want to do the second one right now. So let's do this. I have the document. It's been fully made, fully accessible. Save as Adobe PDF. What's going to happen if my computer wants to work with me? It's going to give me a couple of options for how I actually want to export this thing. Let me turn off my camera because my computer's chugging at the moment. And if I were to go down to options, that might be a little hard to see for everybody. Let me see here. How do I do this? Let me do this. Let's see how this looks. There we go. When you click on the export as PDF option, one of the things that you're going to get as an option as a checkbox is enable accessibility and reflow with tagged Adobe PDF. What this is going to do is when you export this as a PDF, all of the things that you just made and fixed with the Word accessibility checker, it's going to automatically add everything as a tag into the document. So let me unzoom. I'm going to show you why that matters in a second. So we'll save, we'll click OK. We'll do demo. And then we'll save it to downloads. Then what we're going to do is we're actually going to open up an example that I made earlier. That is the exact same thing as what we did just now. So this is that exact same document, but it's been exported as a PDF, and it's been exported as a PDF with these things on the side. These are what are known as tags in Adobe PDF. So tags basically allow someone who's using Screen Reader to go through the document independently and let them know, hey, that part right here, that's actually an H1 level heading. This thing right here, this is a text paragraph. This right here, this is a link. This right here is an image, and here's the alt text for it. The reason why this is good, and the reason why I'm showing this to you, is if you do this first in Word and then you remediate it for accessibility, all this stuff is going to be added for you automatically. So one, in Word, it's pretty robust when it comes to like how much stuff that you can actually do for document markup and making it look pretty and making it look nice. As soon as you export it as a PDF with tags after it's been remediated for accessibility, all these things are going to be added for you automatically. So you don't have to add any of these like on your own. I say that because one of the things that we have to do on my team is if someone exports a Word document and they haven't done the accessibility check for it, all these tags that you're seeing right here, we have to manually add all of this. So a document like this can, in what we did in like a couple of minutes, like as a quick demo, it'll take our team hours to do on Adobe PDF, because you have to launch Adobe, you have to say, hey, this figure right here, this is an image, you have to type in the alt text, this part right here, this is H level 1, this is the title of the document. We have to add all of these things manually to the document to make it accessible to the user, versus start off with the Word document, export that as an accessible PDF, and then all the stuff is done for you. So 2 minutes of effort versus like 2 or 3 hours of effort. We're trying to get the word out about this. So if people are using Microsoft Word to actually make documentation for an event or for something that's happening on campus, they can start off with the Word doc first, then export it after it's been remediated in Microsoft Word, and it'll have all these tags added automatically to the document. So John, how much time, if people did this for all the documents that we've had to work on, how much time do you think it would save us?
Hold on.
Yeah, a whole lot. We've had to train some of our student assistants on how to do document remediation to help with this effort. In just the last year alone, they've remediated something like 7,000 plus pages worth of documentation, which has been a huge help for us. But it's also been like this, we could have saved all this effort if like people just knew like how to do it the right way, right, like ahead of time. So if you're making documentation that's going out to the campus in some way, shape, or form, or going onto a website, make sure you just at least think about accessibility. Like, how would you make this accessible for someone who's blind or low vision or colorblind? And the way you can do that is start off with Word, run the accessibility checker, and then export it as a tagged PDF. And all this stuff that we have to tag afterwards, it's just already there. Done. So let's see here. Close all tabs. Close all tabs. Oh, my computer's chugging. Ew. So that is Microsoft Word. And PDFs, we don't have time to go over how to do PDF remediation or accessibility checks. It's just so much easier to start off with a Word doc first, run the accessibility checker, fix all the things that are found, and then export it as a fully tagged PDF. So start off with Word, run the accessibility checker, export as a fully tagged PDF, boom, you're done, and you're good to go. Otherwise, you have to do something called an accessibility check in Adobe, which basically is checking your document for all these different things. And a lot of these things, I'll be honest with you, I still don't even know like what some of the stuff actually means. So like scripts, what do you mean scripts? Like there's a script that'll run in a PDF. What do you mean by that? So start off with Word, make it an accessible Word doc, and then export it as a fully tagged PDF. You're good to go. It'll save you a lot of hassle. It'll save us a lot of headache. Okay, let's see here. PowerPoints are very, very easy. Kind of like Microsoft Word. They actually do the exact same thing that I was just talking about with Word. If you fully fix the PDF first and then export it, it'll automatically add all the different tags that that will be needed for an individual who's using a screen reader. So if I were to do this, let's see here, review, and then check accessibility. Let's see what comes up on this. Did I miss anything? No errors. What is this? Review auto-generated descriptions. For right now, we will assume that all of this is good to go. But that's basically all there is to it for PowerPoints. Just exact same thing. Go to review, click accessibility check, fix all the things that it tells you are wrong, and it'll also give you examples of how to actually fix those things. And then as soon as you export it as a PDF, let me see if that actually works here. File, save as. File, download as PDF. I might have to do the thing. Let's do that first. Hold on. Download as a copy to your computer, and then we'll do the download tag option. Okay, cool. PowerPoint training. And then we'll open this up. And then let's see. While that's opening, let me go ahead and talk about captions. Captions are almost universally beloved. Like I use captions when I'm watching a movie or I'm watching a YouTube video. I feel like it helps me retain information and follow along with what's being said. I don't have any kind of hearing difficulties. I do have a lot of students who do, and captions just make all the difference in the world for them. Most people think that auto-generated captions, like, oh, you just turn that on, you're good to go. Auto-generated captions are notoriously inaccurate. And while they're good in a pinch, if you happen to know that there is going to be someone who's hard of hearing for a training or for a class or for an event, it's much better to have actual live human typed captions like added to the video or to the event for those individuals who might be hard of hearing. So typing up captions can be a pain to do yourself. That's why we have a company that we contract with that'll actually do all the captioning for us. All you have to do if you want to get captions done for you is go to our website. So csusb.edu/ATS. And then instructional materials. And then down here on this webpage, there will be a link to a form that you can fill out, and it'll say, hey, what is the video or what is the YouTube video or Vimeo or whatever else you might use that you want to get captions added to. Let's see here. This one right here. Video and audio instructor created content utilizes a script for in-house captioning whenever possible. Click on this, they'll get a form, and the form will say, hey, just send us the video, give us a turnaround time, give us a general description, and we can get the captions ordered for you and show you how you can actually add them to the video. Or we can just host the video on one of our pages, on our YouTube pages, and host the video and then add the captions there for you. So captions, we can get them done for you. It'll take maybe like a week or so, depending on like what our workload is at that time. The captions are awesome. Like they're just like I've yet to meet a person that's like, I hate captions. Like, why would you add captions to something? Like, no, they help out everyone. Okay, so now that that is fully downloaded, now we can do the PowerPoint check and see how well that works. Okay, file. So this has been fully checked. Review, check accessibility, review auto-generated descriptions. For right now, we will assume the auto-generated descriptions are all good. And then we're going to go to File. And we're going to say Save as Adobe PDF. And we're going to look for that same checkbox that we had before. And it's going to add all the same tags that we just had before as an option for us. There it is. So same thing as Microsoft Word. If you're making a PowerPoint that's going to be used for a class and is then being turned into a PDF for an event or for a class, make sure you go through the settings first. So review, check accessibility, fix the things that are actually like found in the document, and then when you save it as a PDF, make sure the enable accessibility and reflow, blah, 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 is actually checked off, and then press OK, and then you can export it. And then all those same tags that we were talking about before will automatically be added to it, and that saves everyone a whole lot of hassle. So now, save, it'll export it, and then if we were to open it up in Adobe Acrobat, it's going to have all those tags that we were just talking about automatically added to it. And then let's see how fast it actually wants to open it up for me. Okay. Not fast at all. Cool. Well, while that's opening up, let's see here. Well, while that's opening up, we'll go on to like the next set of slides.
Okay.
Okay, so captions, we can do those for you. Captions are universally beloved. Get captions added if you can. It'll take about a week for us to get them done. Oh yeah, coming soon, there will be a request on Sharewell for getting documents remediated. So rather than just having to like send either an email to me or to John or to accessibility or to Tiffany or the other John, like, hey, can you please help me out with getting this document remediated? You can just put in your document into Sharewell. You'll say, hey, here's the document, here's the turnaround time that I need, and we can get it done for you. So it'll be a little bit more official way of getting requests done for document remediation. It's not it's not live yet, it's not there yet, so don't go look. But it will be soon. And if you have a document that you're worried about the accessibility for, you can just fill this out, send it off, and it will come to my team and we can begin work on it and give it to you within a week or so, maybe 2 weeks. So yeah, if there are two things that I could have everyone just take away for this, from this presentation, if you're here now, or if you're on Zoom, or if you're watching this on YouTube in the future, accessible Word/PowerPoint docs are the easiest way to make an accessible PDF. PDFs are wonderful because they retain their format no matter where you're opening them up. They're also a nightmare for accessibility because, well, if you've ever seen like one of those JSTOR articles from like the JSTOR like scholarly article website, one of the things that they like to do is they like to have like the 2 columns of text on the same page, that you're supposed to read one column and then the other, and then you go on to the next page and then the other column. If you're using a screen reader and it hasn't been tagged or fully marked up in any way, what's going to happen is the screen reader is going to read the first page, the first column, and then it's going to read the first column on the second page, and then the first column on the third page, and it's going to completely skip the entire document for the second column for the entire thing. So if you're using a screen reader, by the time you get to the second page, you're very, very confused. And you're like, wait, I feel like I missed a whole lot of information. Well, you did, because your screen reader doesn't know the proper order of like where to read stuff, because it hasn't been properly remediated. If you use a Microsoft Word doc, run the accessibility checker, then export it, then your screen reader is going to have no problem reading through it whatsoever. So accessible Word doc and PowerPoint docs are the easiest way to make accessible PDFs. And then after the fact remediation of PDFs and PowerPoint is incredibly time consuming. So it's just easier for everyone if you just make it accessible from the start in the Microsoft Word program or the Microsoft PowerPoint program. So for example, I think it's fully loaded now. Boop, boop, boop. So yeah, so this is the same thing that we were talking about before. This is the PowerPoint, but now exported as a PDF. And if I were to click on here, all these tags, we would have before had to manually add these, every single one, and manually make sure that they were nested correctly for every single slide. Lists are such a pain. What's the most annoying thing for you, John, for document remediation? Like PowerPoints, Word, tables suck, man. So yeah, so rather than having to do all this stuff manually after the fact, just do what we did just now. Just make it accessible in the PowerPoint format or the Microsoft Word format, and then you're good to go. This is going to make a huge amount of difference for our workload. It's going to make a huge amount of difference for someone who is blind and trying to get a degree. So start off with a Word doc or a PowerPoint slide, make it accessible, then export it as a PDF.
Okay, I'll take that back. No, actually,
no. There's another.
All text from
Really?
math and science.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, you got
images, yeah.
well, you have to do the gnarly like statistics homework. And it's like I don't even know what like half these symbols are.
Yeah.
Actually, shoot me a message later. I think I found something cool that might help us out with it.
Okay, good.
All right. Okay, cool. That is my spiel. Thank you guys so much for listening to me. If you have any questions on anything that we talked about today, or if you're like, wait, what was any of this about? You can shoot us a message, kevin.cluppy@csusb.edu, john.whitley@csusb.edu. We can work with you. We can train your team, train your folks, share document remediation training videos and articles. If you have basically any questions on what we talked about today, just shoot us a message. And yeah, we would love to help you out and try to like improve the overall accessibility of campus documentation and web pages. Susan, any last remarks from you before I close it up and call it a day?
Yeah, let me pull up the survey really quick, the feedback survey. Give me one moment.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Here, I'll stop my screen share and you can share your screen. And what was your name, by the way? Tanya, thank you for coming in. I had a bunch of these I was going to give out, but this is only for people that show up to the actual event. So if you want to get one of these in the future. Oh no, Susan, they can't see my screen now. Let me do this. Yeah, if you want to get one of these little guys, it's a Coyote phone holder. We give these out at events for training. So only Tanya is going to be getting one of these today. So if you want one of these, come to a training in person in PL 1104. All right, my spiel is done.
So if you guys could go ahead and scan the QR code that you see on your screen, just go ahead and notate that you attended the Document Accessibility 101 training, and then let us know your thoughts about this. Any feedback or anything else you want to see in the future regarding accessibility training, you can go ahead and drop that in the comments, and then Mr. Kleppy will be getting them. So anything you want to see in the future, just go ahead and let us know. And yeah, thank you guys so much for coming to this training today.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, guys. Anything else, Susan, or are we good to go?
We are good to go.
All right. Sweet. Thank you, everyone.